When you drive for DoorDash, you see the weird underbelly of the suburbs. You see what people eat when they're depressed. You see hoarders. You see rich people who can't be bothered to tip. But the money was good that night. It was a Tuesday, usually slow, but a massive storm had rolled through Texas, keeping everyone indoors. My phone pinged around 11:30 p.m. It was a large order, $80 worth of sushi. The payout was huge, including a $30 tip up front. The drop-off location was in The Oaks, a new, ultra-exclusive gated community about 10 miles outside of town. I accepted it immediately. I needed the cash for rent. The drive was brutal. The rain was coming down in sheets, reducing visibility to zero. By the time I reached the gates of The Oaks, my Honda Civic was hydroplaning all over the road. I punched in the gate code provided in the app notes, 6669. The iron gates swung open slowly, creaking louder than the thunder. The development was eerie. It was new, too new. Half the lots were just empty concrete slabs waiting for construction. The houses that were built were massive McMansions, all dark, looming against the lightning-streaked sky. The GPS led me to the very back of the neighborhood, a cul-de-sac that backed up to a dense forest. The house was enormous, a 3-story brick monstrosity. No lights were on, not a porch light, not a window, nothing. I checked the app. The instructions had changed. Originally, it said, "Leave at front door." Now, a new message popped up. "Baby sleeping. Front doorbell broken. Please bring to back patio glass door. It's open." I sighed. I hated going into backyards, especially in Texas, where homeowners were trigger-happy. But for a $30 tip, I'd do it. I grabbed the heavy paper bags of sushi and stepped out into the rain. I walked around the side of the garage. The grass was overgrown, soaking my sneakers instantly. Strange for a rich neighborhood, I thought. Usually these lawns are manicured to perfection. I reached the back patio. It was pitch black. I pulled out my phone and used the flashlight. The sliding glass door was indeed cracked open about an inch. "DoorDash!" I called out, my voice drowned out by the rain. No answer. I approached the glass. I shined my light inside. The beam cut through the darkness, revealing nothing. The living room was empty. No furniture, no TV, no carpets, just bare subflooring and drywall. A chill that had nothing to do with the rain shot down my spine. This wasn't a lived-in house. It was a construction site, or an abandoned project. Why would someone order $80 of sushi to an empty house? I set the food down on the concrete patio, intending to take the proof of delivery photo and sprint back to my car. As I raised my phone to snap the picture, the flash went off. In that split second of illumination, I saw it. Reflected in the glass door behind me, standing near the edge of the woods, was a figure. A man in a yellow rain slicker, hood up, standing perfectly still. He was holding something long and metallic. A crowbar? A machete? I dropped the phone. I didn't mean to. My hands just went numb. I scrambled to pick it up, fumbling in the wet grass. When I pointed the light back toward the woods, the figure was gone. "Hello?" I yelled, my voice cracking. "Is this your food?" Silence. Then, a sound from inside the house. Heavy footsteps on the hollow wooden floorboards. Thump, 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 coming toward the glass door. I realized with horror that the figure hadn't disappeared into the woods. He had circled around. He was inside the house now. The glass door slid open further with a grinding screech. I didn't wait to see who it was. I turned and ran. I slipped on the wet mud, scrambling on all fours like a terrified animal, then got up and sprinted toward the side of the house. As I rounded the corner to the driveway, I saw my car, but I also saw something else. A black pickup truck, lights off, engine idling, was now parked directly behind my Civic, blocking me in. Someone was in the driver's seat of the truck. I could see the glow of a cigarette. It was a trap. 2 of them. One in the house, one in the truck. I couldn't get my car out. I was miles from the main road. The gates were coated. I made a split-second decision. I didn't go to my car. Instead, I ran across the street into one of the empty construction lots. I dove into a foundation pit, landing in 6 inches of muddy water. I curled up into a ball, shaking violently, trying to stifle my breathing. From my hiding spot, I watched. The man in the yellow slicker came out of the side yard. He walked to the truck. The driver rolled down the window. They exchanged words I couldn't hear over the storm. Then, they both looked toward my car. They opened my car doors, rifling through my glove box, checking the back seat. They were looking for me. They spent 10 minutes searching the immediate area with high-powered flashlights. One beam swept right over the pit I was in. I closed my eyes, praying to a God I hadn't spoken to in years. Please don't see me. Please don't see me. Eventually, the truck honked. The man in the slicker got in. They slowly cruised around the cul-de-sac once, then drove off toward the exit. I waited in that mud pit for 3 hours until the sun started to come up. I walked the 10 miles back to town, sticking to the tree line. I left my car there. When the police investigated, they found the house was foreclosed and had been empty for 2 years. They found a sleeping bag and a collection of driver's licenses in the master bedroom closet. 7 different IDs, all from delivery drivers. I was the only one who ran. My rating drops to 4.2 stars after this night, and honestly, I don't care. I'm alive. I drive a minivan for Uber XL. You get a lot of airport runs, families with luggage, groups of drunk college kids. It pays better than the standard rides. It was 3 a.m. on a Wednesday, not a prime time for airport runs, but I got a ping from a remote location near the state park entrance, about 20 miles outside of Seattle. The user was named Vince, 5.0 stars, new account. I debated ignoring it. Nothing good happens in the woods at 3 a.m., but the surge pricing was insane, a 3x multiplier. I'm a dad with 2 kids and a mortgage. I took the ride. The drive out was peaceful but dark. The towering pines of the Pacific Northwest blocked out the moon. When I arrived at the pickup pin, there was no house, just a gravel pull-off near a trailhead. A man was standing there. He was huge, at least 6'4", wearing a dirty Carhartt jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. Beside him was a large black duffel bag. It looked heavy. I unlocked the doors. "Vince?" I asked through the window. He nodded. He didn't smile. He dragged the bag toward the trunk. I popped the hatch. Through the rearview camera, I watched him lift the bag. He struggled with it. It must have weighed 200 pounds. He shoved it into the back of my van with a grunt, then slammed the hatch harder than necessary. He got into the back seat directly behind me. "Destination is updated," he said. His voice was flat. I looked at the app. The destination was a marina down at the docks in Tacoma, an hour drive. Heading to the water this early? I tried to make small talk as I pulled onto the empty highway. "Yeah, fishing trip," he muttered. I glanced in the mirror. He was staring at the back of my head. I could feel his eyes. The air in the van felt heavy, suffocating. About 20 minutes into the ride, we hit a pothole. It wasn't huge, but the van bounced. From the trunk, there was a sound. Thump. That was the bag shifting. But then, a second later, it was faint, a muffled groan, like someone trying to scream through layers of duct tape. My hands gripped the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. Did I just imagine that? "Rough roads," Vince said from the back seat. He sounded tense. "Yeah," I squeaked out. "Sorry about that." I turned the radio down slightly, straining my ears. A minute later, another sound from the trunk. A rhythmic thumping. Kick, kick, kick. Soft, muffled thumps against the plastic interior of the trunk. There was someone in the bag. My heart was beating so fast I thought I was going to pass out. I was driving down I-5 at 70 miles per hour with a kidnapper, or a killer, in my back seat and a victim in my trunk. If I stopped, he'd kill me. If I said something, he'd kill me. I needed a plan. I looked at the GPS. We were approaching a state trooper way station. It was usually closed at night, but sometimes. "Hey," Vince said, leaning forward. I could smell the metallic tang of old blood and dirt on him. "Why are you slowing down?" "Engine light just came on," I lied. "Think I got a flat from that pothole. I need to pull over and check." "Keep driving," he ordered. He reached into his jacket pocket. I saw the glint of a knife. "I can't drive on a flat, man. We'll spin out," I yelled, feigning panic. I swerved the car violently to the right, simulating a blowout. Vince was thrown against the door. "Watch it!" I saw the lights of the way station ahead. There was a truck idling there, and a patrol car, thank God. I didn't pull over to the shoulder. I slammed on the brakes right in the middle of the highway, threw the van into park, and unbuckled my seatbelt. "What are you doing?" Vince roared, lunging for me with the knife. The blade sliced through the fabric of my headrest, missing my neck by an inch. I threw the door open and rolled out onto the asphalt. "Help! He's got a gun! Help!" I screamed at the top of my lungs, sprinting toward the way station lights. Vince didn't chase me. He knew it was over. He jumped into the driver's seat, trying to take off, but in his panic, he fumbled with the gear shift. By the time he got the van moving, the state trooper was already peeling out of the way station, lights blazing. They caught him 3 miles down the road. He crashed my van into a median. When the police opened the trunk, they found a 19-year-old college student inside the duffel bag. She was bound, gagged, and badly beaten, but she was alive. Vince had been taking her to the marina to dump her in the ocean. I lost my van. Uber insurance is a nightmare to deal with. But every year, on the anniversary of that night, I get a card in the mail from a girl named Sarah. It doesn't say much, just thank you. That's the only tip I'll ever need. I've lived in Chicago for 5 years, so I like to think I have decent street smarts. I don't walk alone in alleys, I ignore catcallers, and I always check the license plate before getting into an Uber. That night, the plate matched. The car was a silver Toyota Camry, standard issue for rideshare drivers. The driver's name was Greg, and he had a 4.9 star rating. I had no reason to be afraid. That's what terrifies me the most, looking back. The system told me I was safe. It was around 1:45 a.m. on a Saturday. I had been at a friend's birthday party in Wicker Park and was heading back to my apartment in Edgewater. It's about a 20-minute drive when the traffic is light. I hopped in the back seat, mumbled a polite, "Hi, how are you?" and immediately glued my eyes to my phone. I was scrolling through Instagram, buzzing slightly from the wine, just wanting to get home and take off my makeup. "Long night?" Greg asked. His voice was raspy, like he'd been smoking for decades. I glanced up. All I could see were his eyes in the rearview mirror. They were intense, staring right at me, not at the road. "Yeah, pretty long," I said dismissively, hoping he'd get the hint that I didn't want to chat. "You look nice. Pretty dress," he added. My stomach tightened. It wasn't just a compliment. It was the way he said it. Slow, deliberate, like he was tasting the words. "Thanks," I said, shifting closer to the door. I looked out the window, watching the familiar brick buildings and streetlights blur by. We were on Ashland Avenue, heading north. Everything seemed fine. About 10 minutes into the ride, I noticed we were slowing down. I looked up, expecting a red light, but the light was green. Greg was turning right. "Hey, the GPS said go straight," I said, pointing at my phone screen. The Uber app clearly showed a straight line up Ashland. "Road work ahead," Greg grunted. "Taking a shortcut. Don't worry, I know this city better than that computer." I hesitated. It was Chicago. Random road construction at 2 a.m. wasn't impossible. But as we drove deeper into the side streets, the scenery changed. We were moving away from the residential 3 flats and into an industrial corridor near the river. The streetlights here were sparse, casting long orange shadows against warehouses with barred windows. "I don't think this is right," I said, my voice trembling slightly. "Can you just go back to the main road? I don't mind the traffic." Greg didn't answer. He didn't even look in the mirror this time. He just reached over to the center console. I heard a distinct click, the sound of the central locking system engaging. My heart hammered against my ribs. "Greg?" He turned the radio up. Classic rock blared through the speakers, drowning out the hum of the tires. I pulled out my phone to text my roommate, but when I looked at the screen, my blood ran cold. The Uber app didn't show our location anymore. It showed the "Ride Canceled" screen. Driver canceled the ride. "Why did you cancel the ride?" I shouted, panic finally taking over. Greg laughed. It was a dry, wheezing sound. "Who said anything about canceling? We're just going off the meter, sweetheart. Cheaper for you, better for me." I grabbed the door handle and yanked it. Locked. I tried to pull up the lock pin manually, but it was smooth, one of those modern designs that sits flush with the door panel when engaged. "Child locks," Greg said calmly, his eyes meeting mine in the mirror again. "Safety first." We were speeding now, weaving through a maze of empty shipping yards. There was nobody around. No pedestrians, no other cars, just darkness and chain-link fences. My mind raced. If I screamed, no one would hear me. If I called 911, it would take them minutes to triangulate my location, and by then, we would be wherever he was taking me. I needed to get out. Now. I looked at the window. It was rolled up tight. I pressed the button to roll it down. Nothing. He had locked the window controls too. I was trapped in a glass and steel cage. "Please, just let me out," I begged, trying to keep the hysteria out of my voice. "I have money. Take my purse. Just let me go." Greg ignored me. He took a sharp left turn into an alley behind a derelict factory. He killed the headlights. The car rolled to a stop in pitch blackness. The only light came from the dashboard, illuminating his face. He was smiling. He unbuckled his seatbelt. Adrenaline is a funny thing. I stopped shaking. My vision got tunnel narrow. As he turned his body to reach into the back seat, I realized I had one weapon. My heels. Stiletto heels. I ripped my right shoe off. As Greg lunged between the front seats, reaching for my legs, I drove the heel of my shoe into his eye socket with every ounce of strength I had. He screamed, a guttural, animalistic sound. He recoiled, clutching his face, blood spurting through his fingers. "You bitch!" he howled, thrashing in the front seat. I didn't wait. I scrambled over the back seat, kicking him in the head as I tried to get to the front, the driver's door. The child locks only work on the back doors. I threw myself into the driver's seat, practically sitting on his lap as he flailed blindly. I found the door handle and shoved the door open. I fell onto the wet asphalt, scraping my knees and hands. I didn't feel the pain. I scrambled up and ran. I ran with one shoe on, sprinting down the dark alley toward the distant glow of a street lamp. I heard the car door slam shut behind me and the engine rev, but I didn't look back. I dove through a gap in a chain-link fence, tearing my dress and scratching my arm, and scrambled up an embankment toward the main road. I flagged down a passing patrol car 2 minutes later. I was hysterical, covered in mud and blood, some mine, some his. They never found Greg. The car had been reported stolen 2 days earlier. The Greg on the app was a stolen identity. But sometimes, when I'm walking down the street and I hear classic rock blasting from a passing sedan, I freeze. I check the license plate. And I never, ever get in the back seat anymore.